Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I hope you're well.
I'm well, indeed. I'm well by His grace. So, how are you?
I'm also doing well, sir. First, let's start with. First, I wanted to ask you: have you seen the MPP manifesto?
Yes, I have seen it.
What is your
I'm
general
giving it a
impression?
very cursory. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Can you hear me well?
Hello, Senna.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think the network, I lost it for a brief while.
Okay. But I'm sure you can now.
I have seen it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I was asking about your general impression.
To you. My impression was, in a certain, it met the very low expectations I had of the NPP because they've run out of ideas. I personally expected that what they were going to do, as they did in 2020 and I've always done before, was copy somebody's idea and pretend that it is their own and seek to then make currency out of it. The NPP has never got any originality. You know, even the whole principle of free SHS, they cribbed it from the CPP manifesto and parapeted it from the rooftops, even when President Mahama had already implemented it in 2017, the feed for which Nanado had congratulated President Mahama. Yet today, they make noise about it. So I didn't expect much from them because at present, they are also focused on robbing and looting the state, that none of them is capable of sitting down and, if you like, marshalling their collective grey matter to be able to put forward any decent policy proposals or manifesto proposals that would change Ghana's fortunes. It's basically more of the same. And so I wasn't surprised that what we found was the good part of it, they basically copied from President Mahama. You know, whatever President Mahama says, sometimes they even copy it line by line. You know, from, okay, we are going to reduce ministers to 60, they say we'll reduce to 50. We're going to scrap e-levy, the same e-levy that they implemented and cut the cake for, they also say they will cancel. You know, they are not sure whether they will cancel or not. We say we'll scrap betting and e-levy, they'll go and say they'll do. Pretty much exactly the same. You know, fintech investment, they say the same thing. President Mahama says 1 million for this program, they also go and repeat the same thing. So it's basically an attempt to copy the NDC manifesto based on all the policy proposition announcement that President Mahama has already put there. All the other ideas that are remaining in there are very laughable. There is nothing good to write home about that manifesto. I mean, the truth is they have checked out of their mental capacities in terms of being able to ideate to change Ghana, and all they are doing is put their very, if you like, hopeless aspirations in a document and copy whatever good they can from the NDC. So I'm not surprised. The low expectations I had, they even met the expectations, if not went below. They didn't even cut to the standard I thought they would get, even though the standard I have for them is very low.
Now, that's quite interesting to hear because, and of course, for a lot of people who have even been critical of some of the proposals that have been made by the NDC, like the no fee stress policy, the proposals that relate to the Women's Bank and also even the 24-hour economy, people usually point to the economy. They will tell you that look at the state of the Ghanaian economy. How do you intend to implement these policies with an economy in the state? Now, for managers of the economy who know where we are currently, did you see policy measures that gives you the impression that sought to deal with these challenges that we are confronted with? High inflation, the dollar and the city struggling against the dollar, a food crisis that is staring us in the face. You didn't see anything from their manifesto that's targeted at addressing these challenges?
No, there's nothing substantive in there that will tangibly make a difference. All you see are very tokenistic half-hearted pledges, which nobody, takes any of the NPP leaders in power now seriously anymore. I mean, you talk to them, what you are seeing is a rehab of textbook economic, if you like, jargon that Baumia was very good at in 2016. That's exactly what you see. You ask them, how are you going to address high inflation? You don't see any tangible policy there. They go talking to you about, we are going to do that, we are going to do this. They haven't, in fact, in any case, they are suffering here. So the first question is if they got any policy proposals that will tame the city and strengthen the city and tame inflation, why are they not implementing? And in the second breath, there's nothing inspirational there. It's all technical jargon. I mean, read it back to back and tell me what is their plan to get inflation under control? Zero. What is their plan to tame the city from galloping away like a proverbial horse? Nothing. What is their plan to stimulate economic growth? And they start telling you about, oh, teachers prepare and come and apply for loans. You'll get car. Nurses, you'll get car. These are not the policy proposals that are going to bring food to our table. As we speak now, you've got a food crisis technically on the back of the worsening CD, the drought situation, and so on and so forth. There is nothing tangible in there that is transformative enough to stimulate economic growth while taming inflation and supporting the city. Nothing, absolutely, my brother. And I look forward to any brave NPP person who would want to take on a debate of their manifesto to point to us how the manifesto aims to cure the very problems they themselves have created. And day in, day out, you see, the country is bankrupt. As we speak now, these same people are making all the promises. They bankrupted Cocoa. So much so that Cocoa, for the first time in 32 years, they can't get it syndicated. In fact, last year, they managed to get a bridging loan. They can't even get a bridging loan. Cocoa Board is now like a leper in the financial world. Nobody wants to touch them, not even with a bad hole. There is nothing in that manifesto that seeks to cure. What you see there is just put a document out because you have to put something out, and then focus on all the Machiavellian tactics they can deploy to steal this election. In other words, collude with the EC, tamper with the voters register, and so on and so forth. But when I go through page to page, in fact, it is very, very disheartening and demoralizing to even read their policy proposals that they have in there. There is nothing tangibly serious in there that is good for the good people of this country.
A few things that they proposed, though. The Vice President Bawumia proposes his administration that will reduce the total number of ministers to 50. That is supposed to deal with the matter of public expenditure. On the matter of fuel prices going high, there's a proposal to bring in, if we are using electric vehicles, we won't need to buy so much fuel. And then he's also talking about ramping up the gold for oil, among others. Those are proposals that are dealing with specific issues, are they not?
So let me take those in a particular order. First and foremost, the backwards. So, and then we'll count them. Gold for oil. We were told that the gold for oil is going to be effective in stabilizing the demand for dollars, and therefore it is going to stabilize the city. When gold for oil was launched, the city was around 10, 11 to the dollar. 6 months later, as we speak, it's around 16 to the dollar. You have almost had 50% increase because the difference between 11 and 16 is 5. Half of 10, half of 11 is 5 and a half, right? 5.5. So in the space that this so-called flagship gold for oil policy that they claim would have substituted the need for dollars and therefore stabilized the city, the period for which it was implemented hasn't been a success. So if you give me paracetamol, I come and tell you that I have got running stone, and you give me paracetamol, and it doesn't kill me, and you keep giving me that paracetamol, how is that going to solve my problem? Paracetamol is for my headache. If I have got running tummy, and you think that life might do the work, then that is where you go. So the reality, this is why I said that what they have just reheated. It's like reheating old teaser that has fallen apart. That gold for oil policy is not going to save the city. What is this track record in saving the city? Unless they want to tell us that it has been successful to the extent that the city has collapsed again by another 5 cities from about 11 to 16 now. That is number one. I mean, the other two policies, and you may have to remind me on what they are. That you just
electric vehicles. Electric vehicles.
Question one. You see, electric vehicles run on a power grid that is stable. These are the same people who are making noise about excess power. Now, if there was the excess power that President Mahama left behind, that would have allowed us to put charging stations across the length and breadth of the country. Which means when we deploy the electric vehicles, there is ready power. They have cancelled electricity generation agreements, including the one with Trafigura, which has led us to the mess we are in today, the one we were talking of before I just joined. Because they have cancelled most of those electricity generation capacity, our consumption has run at par now back to matching our supply, and we are having problems again. Even though President Mahama led enough room so that we had access to our demand with enough to export. As we speak now, we are back to importing power. The agreements we have are no longer being honored because we don't have enough power. We are now reverse importing power from them, right? And you have a shortage of power. That's why we have Dumso, if they pretend doesn't exist. How are you going to deploy an electric vehicle in Dumso? I can't charge the vehicle. How am I going to deploy it? So this is back to the common sense we are talking about. We are talking about deploying an electric vehicle when you do not have the infrastructure. You do not even have the power that will allow you. Let's even say you can plan charging networks and there is Dumso. How will the electric vehicles work? And by the way, how are we going to pay for those electric vehicles? You have destroyed the economy. The cost of vehicles is high. Meanwhile, earnings have been weighted away by inflation. And so what I was expecting was them to come up with policy proposals that will regenerate the economy, create jobs, tame inflation, and put more money in the pockets of people. It will make the value of the money in that pockets already go high. Once you do that, I now have enough money to buy electric vehicle. And if power is available and it's cheap, you don't even need to tell me to go and buy. Government doesn't even need to import an electric vehicle or buses. We ourselves will import them and drive them if power is cheap, really available, the infrastructure is there, and the value of our city is enough to be able to make it cheap enough for us to buy the vehicles. You don't create a power crisis, create an economic crisis, and tell me you are going to buy electric vehicles and charge them. Where are you going to get the money to buy the electric vehicle? You can't even get money to buy cocoa. You want to go and buy money, get money for electric vehicle. And where are you going to get the power? You can't even get power to power our houses and our cities. We need that transformative 24-hour economy, that big push type, ambitious one that will bring in more power generation, more infrastructure, stabilize the currency, boost our economic growth, to put money in people's pockets and reduce inflation, to keep the value of the money in your pocket high enough so that we can all go and demand those electric vehicles because the infrastructure is there, because the financial power is there. Those are the kind of commonsensical policies I was expecting to see. Now come and tell me that you are going to bring in solar power. You have been in power for 8 years. Why have you not brought in those electric vehicles? That's a simple question. They are currently in power. They simply with the magic wand say, straight away, let it happen. You don't need to do to come in and do it. Unless you're telling me that we don't have the money to do it now, but when we elect you in 4 months, you'll get the money. And this is why I said that policy was one of the longest excuse notes ever that you've seen in the history of our country. The policy proposals they have in there, they are all begging the question. They are all excuses. None of them is genuinely aimed at solving our current problem. Be it power generation. I mean, how throughout the entire manifesto, they don't tell you that Ghana is broke. And incidentally, whilst they've gone to launch their lesson, somebody has taken our national property in London, Regina House, has been seized. The same traffic good. And why? Because we are now having to pay $134 million to Trafigura because we asked them to generate power for us, power that will have solved this doom that we're facing. We've cancelled that agreement and want to sign other bogus agreements. So the whole thing is a mess, my brother. I hope that the only word missing from the manifesto that will make it fit for purpose is the word mess. Perhaps they should go back and revise it.
Well, and I don't have to. Okay, so I want to take your views on this because I know over the last decade, at least, you spend your time within some of the global giants in auditing and accounting. So I'm going to read a few things to you and take your view because one of the biggest challenges businesses have been talking about is taxes. Now, this is what they say: introduce a very simple, citizen and business-friendly flat tax regime. A flat tax of, they didn't mention a percent of income for individuals and SMEs, which constitute 98% of all businesses, with appropriate exemption threshold set to protect the poor. They also promise a tax amnesty. They also say there will be no taxes on digital payments, that's the e-levy, so they will abolish the e-levy. No VAT on electricity if it's still on the books. No emission tax, no betting tax. The Temaport will be fully automated. There's a policy of aligning the duties and charges at Temaport to the duties and charges at Lome Port. The spare parts importers' duties will be at a flat rate per container, 20 or 40 foot. These are all tax policies that reduce the burden on businesses and also put that money in the pocket that you have been talking about. Don't you agree?
So, in principle, yes, I agree 100%. And first and foremost, look, government only needs as much money as it needs to maintain public infrastructure. So taxation is essential. I'm not going to pretend like Bawumia that the taxation is not essential. Taxation is essential. But taxation is like milking a cow. When you don't get your cow out one morning and milk it from morning till night and keep milking and milking. My public finance professor in Lagos, Professor Wood, used to tell us this. See, the public purse is like a cow. If you keep over milking it, one day, no milk will come, blood will come, and your cow will fall over, kill over, and die. You get nothing from it. That is exactly what taxation is. One of the first things I agree with them. All these taxes you have listed, I 100% agree with them that those taxes have no place in our history. The baller tax, the e-levy, which is an example of a flat tax anyway, a regressive tax, all the taxes you have listed, including the duties at the port. When they came in, what were the duties at the port and what are the duties now? You go and impose something for $100,000 and you are paying duties up to $90,000. It's duties imported over in 2017. So what they are proposing to do here is this matter. When they came in, duties were low. VAT on electricity, e-levy, they put it in. Dollar tax, they put it in. Betting tax, they put it in. And by the way, the other day, I heard the former majority leader, Osechi Emefiele, saying he was going to go and report President Mahama. Number of samples of President Mahama report because President Mahama is going to reverse the betting tax. So on the one hand, he says, no, betting tax should not be reversed. If President Mahama does it, I'm reporting to our pastor to talk to him not to do it. It's a sin tax. On the other hand, they say, we're going to do what President Mahama has said. First and foremost, I'm sitting in my house. You came and stole my goat. Now you are promising me to invite you to my house so that you come and return the goat you stole. Just return the goat before I give you the invite. They implemented vetting tax. They implemented COVID levy. They implemented baller tax. They hiked down these rates to the level that we have them today. If they are serious about that, they really want to be considered for power. First thing they should do is scrap all those taxes and reduce all the duties back to the 2016 level as a starting point. If I'm a Ghanaian, that's what I would say. Once they have done that, now we know we have arrived so that we can start having the conversation. Because they have imposed all those taxes, collected all those monies, and all they've done is save the country. Without e-levy, we could go for syndicated loan. With e-levy, we can't do syndicated loan. Without baller tax, without these levels of duties, government of Ghana was not broke. We can't even pay some of our debts. And today we are broke. So I agree that all those are nuisance taxes. But you see, the one most illiterate economic policy that Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia is seeking to foster on us is this textbook illiteracy on a flat tax. Let me tell you what a flat tax does. Senna, you are a millionaire and I am a suffer man. I have only got 10,000 Ghana cedis the whole year. Because you are a millionaire, you earn 1 million Ghana cedis, even in a month. So in a year, you have got 12 million Ghana cedis, and I have only got 100,000. Now, let us assume that you assume a flat tax rate of 10% on each of us. The proportion of 10% from my 10,000, 1,000 is gone. That hits me harder than 10% on your 12 million. 10% on your 12 million is 1.2. So you still have in excess of 10.8 million to enjoy and to play around. It won't make a difference to you. But for me, that 1,000 that has just gone, even though my earning is low, the disproportionate impact on me of the flat tax is heavy. And that is why we call those flat taxes regressive taxes. Because they clover the tax, they poor more. And we all know that we, the poor, are the ones who consume even more per capita. So you are taking away a larger proportion. For that reason, that Ghana's tax laws have always been progressive. That is why when you go in, if your income is low, there's a tax allowance, you don't pay anything for the first portion of your income. Up to a certain level, you pay 5%. Up to a certain level, you pay 10%. Then those who earn more, it keeps going like that till the big earners, in Ghana can be taxed up to 35%. It's similar in the UK, similar in the US, similar in many countries. In the UK, your first 12,570 pounds of income is tax-free to accommodate low income earners. Then the next section up there is 20% up to about 50,000. There is a good reason why you have a graduated progressive tax. So when you slap a flat tax on everybody, you are simply telling me that my first portion that should have been tax-free as an allowance, you're going to tax me anyway. You make it worse for me. And what that will do is to suck away more consumption from those who can afford and make the economy even worse. So Baumia should go back. We are not saying go and read ceteris paribus in your economic textbooks and come and try and experiment it as again. You have just suffered 7 years, 7.5 years, 8 years of experiment. It has bankrupted the country. It has shot inflation up. It has destroyed the city. We don't have room for any more economic theorists and experimenters. Ghana is not a laboratory.
And let me conclude on the manifesto note by asking you a question, because as a journalist, one thing I realized about manifestos is that they are not only responsive to the circumstances and the needs of the people. Manifestos, as much as possible, also attempt to respond to your opponent. So what your opponent proposes, if you realize is attracting some attention, you also counter with a policy that seems to address the same problem and seeks to take attention from them. Do you feel that there are things within the manifesto that the NDC manifesto should appropriately counter or respond to? Is there anything in there?
I'll be honest with you, when I look at the NPP manifesto, I was expecting that it would be something shockingly bad. Although bad, we could look at it and try and see what can we counter, as you have said. I struggle to see anything tangible in there that we should counter. One reason is this. All the good things in there are copied over President Mahama. All the other things that are in there are teaching us how not to go as a country. The examples of the flat tax. You know, that's one of the illiterate examples. Or are you even talking about, we've gone through these kind of economic experiments. We want Baumia to tell us how flat taxes have helped any country to develop. But the simple answer to your question is no. I don't see anything ambitious in their thing that we need to counter. And trust me, they are not going out to campaign on this manifesto because they know it's dead in the water. They are going out there to do what they usually do best. Bear falsehood, put out utter falsehood and more falsehood, and use all means possible, not via legitimate conviction or convincing the people to vote for them, but the intent to rig, the intent to mess the register up, try and inconvenience Ghanaians and find a way of using the security services, the electoral commission, and a few others to steal and maintain power. But the simple answer to your question is no. What I expect, you see, at this stage, what we must not forget, the Vice President is still the economic chairman of the economic management. Is standing about these promises. We have a cocoa board that has gone bust. The same cocoa board that for 32 years have been going out collecting syndicated loans. This time around, they went out looking for 1.5 billion. For the last 6 months, they couldn't get any serious player to take it. Why? Because people realize that the NPP has destroyed our cocoa sector. Again, look in the manifesto. Do you see anything there that is seeking to address our cocoa sector tangibly? Reverse the cocoa lands that have been taken over by Galamsey, or reverse the trend of the broke TBC and Cocoa Board that cannot even finance their own operations? No. Cocoa Board cannot raise 1.5 billion. In fact, last year, when they were struggling to raise the syndicated loan, they went to Barry Calibert and Olam. Those are the two biggest cocoa traders in Ghana. They went and begged them for a bridging loan. Give me something to hold on until I get that. And they got it. This year. So when they went for 1.5 billion, they were not getting it. They went back to Barry Olam and Barry Calibert and Olam and asked for 500 million as bridging. And the two companies refused. Because everybody in the cocoa sector knows that this year we do not intend, we are not expected to get more than 500,000 tons of cocoa. We're expected to get less. And to make matters worse, Siana, for the past 3 years, we have been engaging in cocoa forward sales. A forward sale is basically, let's say I come to you and say, you know what, let's do an agreement for me to give you 10,000 tons of cocoa. Pay me the money now and then I will deliver when the season comes. So I've collected your money. When it comes to deliver, I haven't been able to deliver. Ghana has collected money for about 250,000 metric tons of cocoa over the last 3 years and has failed to honor them. So when our 500,000 metric tons of cocoa is collected this year, we will have to take 250 out to pay those people who have already collected their money, meaning we have only got 250,000 metric tons left. Now, when you take that 250,000 metric tons and sell, you won't get that 1.5 billion. That is one of the reasons why the banks have refused to lend, because you don't have cocoa to sell technically. Because what you have is only 250,000 projected capacity after you take another 250 out of your 500, because you already spent that much money, you have to pay that. Right? And that's one of the reasons we didn't get a syndicated loan. That's also the reason why the other banks refused to give them this bridging loan. But as usual, you see how they've come to present it. Oh, for the first time, we are doing paradigm shift. We are no longer going to collect loan. Didn't they know about paradigm shift when they went begging for the 1.5 billion and didn't get it? During the only 4 days ago, they were still begging Olam and Barry Calibot for 500 million Musia. They couldn't get it. And now you come and tell us paradigm shift. These are the tangible things. These are present day things that the vice president, the chairman of economic management team, should have been addressing. There's nothing, you can't find any rehabilitating our cocoa and other stuff in the sector. As we speak now, Cocoa Board has suspended all cocoa projects because they are broke. These are the present problems that the vice president has created for us through theorization and ceteris paribus economic management experiments. Nothing in their manifesto shows that. And so for me, when I say there's nothing for us to learn from, it's in their practice. It is what is the manifesto. It's not ambitious enough. It is an insult to Ghanaians to tell them that I just put this tax on you, but if you vote me again, I'll remove it. Remove it first before we have that conversation. So in brief, Senator, I am not inspired by that manifesto, and I think that is a disaster for our country. People of Ghana should do what it needs to be done with. First, should be used as toilet paper, and then after that, we can take it out and burn whatever is left.
Use as what?
Toilet paper. Because we are not broke, we don't have money to buy a toilet roll. Yes. So when they print it, they should distribute. We'll collect it. Then we'll take it and go behind and use it as toilet paper. And then when we finish with it, then we'll do what we usually do with toilet paper.
And thank you for on that detail on what actually Cocoa Board has been going through in an attempt to get a 1.5 billion. And what you said was an attempt to even get a loan of $500 million from 2 big companies. This is Cocoa Board. They had all this.
Cocoa Board.
Yes, Cocoa Board. This is Cocoa Board. In a statement, they said, I'm reading from Modern Ghana. In a statement issued on Friday, August 22nd. So the statement was issued today. Okay. No, that was yesterday. It was actually yesterday. So Thursday. Cocoa Board counted that syndicated banks had submitted. Cocoa Board counted that syndicated banks has submitted term sheets in response to its earlier request for proposals for consideration, describing the minority succession as false. Cocoa Board explained that these transactions have necessitated discussion with financial institutions, emphasizing that nothing indicates a lack of confidence in its creditworthiness. So let me read a quote. The assertion by the minority caucus that the international banks have rejected the Ghana Cocoa Board's request and that Cocoa Board was chased away from the market is false. This is so because syndicated banks submitted term sheets in response to Cocoa Board's earlier request for proposals for consideration. Indeed, notwithstanding our intentions to win off syndicated transactions, we still have committed contracts that need to be fulfilled through the syndicated processes. That is their responses, that it is not true.
The simple thing is this. MPP, as usual, are very good at spinning lies using sophisticated terms. What is a term sheet? They should ask that. If they know what a term sheet, they won't come and tell us. My brother, I have said to you that you didn't get a loan. You are telling me that you got a term sheet. Are term sheets legally binding? The answer is no. If I ask for your WAEC results, your A-level results, class test paper, because it doesn't give you a prediction of what you're going to get at your A-level. The fundamental point is this. Term sheets are just an expression of intent. I, a hard person, may be willing to engage in for negotiations. They are the beginning of negotiation. They are not binding. So if you go to the market and say, I want 1.5 billion, and I'm expecting it at 5%, and some vulture fund comes to you and says, I can only give you 100 million, but I will charge you interest of 30%, which you can afford. Are you going to tell me because some vulture fund is interested in that at an exorbitant rate, but at an amount that you can afford, that means you have been successful? Now, if the answer is yes, and it was successful, and those term sheets were then discussed by Cocoa Board with the lenders and agreed as loans. So why are we here where they didn't get the money? Because the term sheet is the beginning of the conversation. You give out interest. I want to take loans. I want to take a loan from you. Those who are interested, submit your interest. They submit their interest through the term sheet and other stuff. You sit down with them, you discuss. If the terms are favorable, you can get the money you want at your affordable rate. Then you go into an agreement, you sign the agreement, it becomes a binding contract. Those term sheets do not constitute that. We did not say, minority leader did not say that you didn't get term sheets. He said you did not get 1.5 billion in your syndicated rate. That's correct. If you got it, then you shouldn't be in the situation where you are, where you have come back. So what they are doing once again is being dishonest. Nobody's talking about term sheets. Let them tell us which bank has given them any money in the syndicated loan which they refused. They can't, because they never got to that stage. The term sheets were not favorable enough. Everybody was prepared to thrown out of the capital markets in September 2021. They said, no, this. You went for a rate. The market couldn't give you at the rate that you want, at the amount that you want. So you withdraw from the market. Pure and simple. Don't come and tell us somebody was interested. Somebody was interested, but not interested to give you the amount you wanted at the rate that you could afford. Therefore, effectively, you have been frozen out of the market. I go to the market, I will have 10 CDs, I want to buy yam. The yam there, all the prices are starting at 50 CDs. I cannot buy yam. Simple, I go home. I can't go and say, there was somebody who offered me yam for 50 CDs. But so if I had wanted to buy, I buy. You could have bought if you had the money. You didn't have at your price. So you went back home. Pure and simple. So this is just destruction.
Now, let me conclude with you by asking what impact this will have on our management of the city, because from listening to our conversations over the years, it looks like syndicated loans are one of the tools used to manage the city to ensure that depreciation does not go out of hand. If this is where we are, how would it impact the city?
All the analysts have agreed that the city is going to suffer worse, because even Bank of Ghana was sitting down waiting for the syndicated loan to come in and bolster up our shore of dollar reserves so that it can have an impact on keeping the city low against the dollar. In the absence of the syndicated loans, Bank of Ghana has lost one of the key tools it has always relied on to be able to tame the city. So expect the city to go higher. Now, once the city goes higher, it means import bills will go higher, because when the city, the rate goes up, it means our import bill goes up. It means prices in the country go higher. It means it will translate into what? Even higher inflation. Producer price inflation just shot up to about 28% on average for July. Expect the CPI, consumer price inflation, keep going back up again. And this can also be traced back to the ability to get this syndicated loan. And that will become the worst offer. Over 1 billion Ghanaians suffer from COVID, right? Because of the drought, because of the mismanagement, because of high inflation, food price, this will become worse in the next 2-3 months because of the absence of the syndicated loan. That is what is expected to happen. It is not me saying it. It's not the NDC saying it. All the analysts can see it clearly. Syndicated loan was our last backstop because we are struggling with the World Bank balance. IMF funds that cannot come in now. In the absence of the syndicated loan, Ghana is truly and properly in a very bad place. To excuse my friend, Ghana is screwed in the hands of these people under these circumstances.
Chairman, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome, my brother. And have a good day and a good day to all the cherishes.
That's Chairman Conrad Dumbah, NDC UK Ireland chapter. Just to clarify something,